How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ruffledrowlit, and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we got ourselves a few new rumors to take a look at. So we're going to first go through the rumors, read through them, and see what they have to say. And then after we've done that, we're going to discuss them a bit more in depth. So let's get started with the first rumor here, because there's two of them we're going to cover today. The first one is going to be this one. So DLC 2021 Steeds Forest, posted by Anonymous on 4chan. So the included image is some sort of horse. It's one of those drawings in the grass that we've seen in Galar already, like with, I think, Toxicity, but that's besides the point. So, Gen 8 DLC, Steeds Forest in early 2021. So, I'm not sure what that means, Steeds Forest. I'm assuming it's going to be some sort of new forest area, maybe somewhere on the top of Galar or something like that, or maybe the bottom of Galar, because we haven't seen everything down there. So, maybe there's going to be something like that. It just points out here, though, new woodland wild area, which sounds pretty cool. Hopefully, it's going to be like a really luscious forest and stuff. That would be really cool. Gigantamax, Greninja, Lucario, and Mimikyu. Now, these make sense as these are all some of the most popular Pokemon of all time. I mean, Greninja is the most popular one, and the number one, voted Pokemon. Mimikyu is up there in the top 10, so definitely deserves it. So, yeah, it makes sense that these guys will get Gigantamax forms. I mean, they're giving Gigantamax forms to most of the Pokemon recently, so yeah, well, not most Pokemon. They're giving it to a few new Pokemon, so it's cool. Next up, there's a quest to find the Hollow Throne, a special tree that moves around the map and only appears after consecutive wins against trainers and wild Pokemon. So a special tree that moves around the map and only appears in consecutive wins. So okay, that sounds interesting to say the least. I mean, it does sound intriguing to say the least, okay? Next up, new legendary horse Pokemon inside the tree's den. So it's referred to as the Wildfire Pokemon and is a grass fire type. Nably is its name. Okay, so I'm not sure about that name. It seems a bit odd. As for the typing though, grass fire, I've got to be honest, man. Grass fire is epic. I would love that. I don't think we have a single grass fire type. I think it's one of those typings that is still not in the game. We do have like bug fire, but we don't have grass fire, so it actually sounds like a fantastic typing for a legendary in particular. Like, imagine a legendary with an exclusive typing on it like that. It just sounds, in my opinion, fantastic. But next up, capturing the horse will be pivotal at one point to stop a forest fire in the story. And again, this makes sense. It fits into the theme of Sword and Shield's already existing story. As you guys may remember, the whole reason for like Chairman Rose doing what he did was because he was fearing that all the energy and whatnot, and basically like it was basically a global warming type of warning, kind of story is basically what they were doing with it, right? That was the insinuation with the story, as far as I could tell. So yeah, keep that in mind, but let's see what the next rumor is. So I've got to say, the first one again was pretty good, but the next rumor though is slightly different. So he calls this Isle of Armor 2, and this is something that was posted again on 4chan by an anonymous person, saying, earlier I posted about the Isle of Armor. Here's a quick recap to that, and also a little more information. He says here, 4 new Mimikyu forms. This again actually sounds reasonable. Again, like I said, Mimikyu is one of the most popular Pokemon of all time. It's more popular than Pikachu, strangely enough, at the moment. And that would not surprise me if they were to decide to be like, okay, let's add new forms to it. That makes sense. Next up, Bayleaf, Braixen, and Duot Galarian forms. Now, okay, so basically he's trying to say, I guess, Bayleaf? I mean, yeah, so that would mean some generation. Wait, that's a little bit odd. That's like very specific, I will be honest and say. Plus evolutions, he says. So okay, that's more fair enough. Real form of Arcto and Vish, Fossil, and a little about story plot. So that would be cool if we got to see the original version of Arctovish or Arcto, I guess, and Vish, what they would look like before they got merged into these weird like concoctions of Pokemon. It would be cool to see what the original looked like, right? What the originals looked like before they got mashed into the weird Pokemon we have today. That actually would be a cool little concept. Next up, a new normal rock-type cat Pokemon, which tends to shoot rocks to hunt for berries using a catapult, being too lazy, called Catapults. That is a kind of lazy name. But no, it's alright. It sounds good. It sounds cool, Next up, Hydreigon's Gigantamax form. It will have 1 big head and 4 smaller heads. Makes sense, again, following the whole Hydra concept of that Pokemon. Makes sense. A Pokemon based on a train typed with the Steel Dark typing. It gives a lot of reference to the Legend of Zelda's Spirit Trains. Looker's return again. Okay, that sounds cool. And that's all we know for now. lol. Alright, not sure why you added the lol at the end, but fair enough. So, there is basically the rumors themselves. That's the information that was handed in them. Now, next up, what is the next thing we're going to talk about? Well, we're going to take a look at these rumors and break them down one by one. So let's start with the first one we looked at here. So first of all, it's a really short rumor to begin with, which makes me kind of doubt it more a little bit, but maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, I don't really know. As for what he's saying here, DLC 2021, right? Steed's Forest. Now, it sounds like a cool concept and it makes a lot of sense. We look at it like Sword and Shield right now. The next DLC is Isle of Armor, right? Isle of Armor is a tropical region, or tropical place rather, not region, but tropical place, right? It's a tropical DLC. Then we have the opposite of that, right? We have Crown Tundra. What is tundra? It's like Crown Tundra. It's a literal tundra, right? It's cold, it's dark, it's mountainy, right? It's the polar opposite of the Isle of Armor, okay? But then if we do another way around, what could the other, kind of versions of this could be? Well, we could have a foresty area, like this, for example, for the next DLC. Oh, it's a foresty area, Steed's Forest, there you go. And then the next one could be the opposite of that. But what would the opposite of that be, man? I don't know, maybe an ocean one or something like that. Just basically something that like goes like the opposite way of the previous stuff. And it makes sense. It actually makes a lot of sense as for the concept. As for another DLC, 2021, I don't know how likely that is. It all depends on really how successful the first DLC is, unless they decide next year to do DLC plus another set of Pokemon games, because there's really no way in my head I can see them wanting to skip, 1 year of a game release, another year rather of a game release, for the sake of, just releasing more DLC for an already existing game. Sure, they're making money, but they're making nowhere close to the amount of money they would make from just releasing a new Pokemon game. And they definitely have a lot of Pokemon games in the pipeline that they're working on. Sure, a lot of things are probably getting delayed a little bit because of everything happening in the world right now, but I'm pretty sure, I'm confident that they still have stuff going on. As for the next thing here, they say the Woodland Wild area sounds cool. I always wanted the original Wild area to have more like foresty areas with like actually lush and big trees, kind of like, you being able to run through there and look for Pokemon hiding behind trees and stuff. It would have been fun. He then points out there's going to be a Gigantamax, Greninja, Lucario, Mimikyu. Again, makes sense. Mimikyu is hyper popular. Greninja is the most popular. Lucario is super popular as well. These make a little sense to actually get some love. As for the quest to find the Hollow Throne, that sounds like a pretty cool concept in my honest opinion, and they gotta do some extra stuff in these games, in these DLC rather, to actually appeal to people to want to buy them. Because if they mess up with the Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra, and then they decide they're gonna do another DLC, I think they're gonna do way worse in terms of sales, because people will learn that, hey, they didn't do right the first time with the DLC, I don't think they'll do right the second time. But that's why they gotta make sure that Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra are actually really top notch and worth the money people are spending. So we're gonna see how that turns out. As for the legendary horse, I think it sounds amazing. If we get a grass fire type, that would be honestly fantastic. I'm a big fan of that ID and I want it. I just really want it. So I'm on board for that being a real thing. As for the rest of it, it really doesn't, it just fits well in with like the existing Sword and Shield world and lore and stuff like that. So I'm not really surprised by this one. Doesn't really confuse me. Doesn't really give me a feeling of like not being realistic. It sounds reasonable. Next up, the Isle of Armor 2 rumor. Now this one though is a little bit different, okay? First of all, he points out new Mimikyu forms, but then he says Bayleaf, Braixen, and Duat Galarian forms. Now why does he go with these ones in particular? Why didn't he just say the starter Pokemon, right? Why didn't he say Chikorita instead, right? Like I'm confused, or Oshawott, right? I guess, or like something like that. Like why did he go for like the mid stages, I guess? Like why would you do that? It just makes no sense to me. But then he says plus evolution, so I'm a little bit confused there, but it is besides the point. Then he says a real form of Octo and the Vish fossil, which sounds fantastic. There's been a lot of people theorizing that those are going to show up sooner or later, as a lot of people are curious to see what they looked like before they were kind of mashed into one, like just different fossils. So that's something that definitely people want to see, and I know I want to see that for a fact, because that would be so cool. Next, a new normal rock type cat. Again, sounds pretty standard, doesn't really surprise me. Hydreigon getting a Gigantamax form sounds reasonable. It is a Pokemon that fits that whole theme. Remember, the whole like Gigantamax thing and the Dynamax thing is really inspired by kaiju and stuff like that, because it's popular in Japan. So that's where it's inspired by, and even Tyranitar's inspired by freaking kaiju, Godzilla, and then Hydreigon's also inspired by kaiju, so it makes sense for it to get some love like that. And then next up is a Pokemon based on a train typed Steel Dark, which again sounds pretty cool. What it's based on though, the concept sounds interesting. As for Looker's return, I'm on board for Looker coming back, man. He's a cool character. I have nothing against having Looker in these games. Like honestly, he's fantastic. So I would love to see him return and see what he's going to do. But every time Looker is included in a rumor, I feel like it's less likely to be true. But then again, that's just me. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's basically the rumor itself. That's really all we had to talk about. There's really not much else to mention. Hope you guys did enjoy the video. If you did, then drop a like down below. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe for future content, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day, and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen.